And a lot of the time, what I've seen with borderline personality disorder, that it comes from a long history of trauma and rejection, where the person has had to basically do things to try to please people just to be able to be understood or to be accepted. And suddenly beginning to have an understanding of why you do the things you do because of what you went through in the past.
No, that's cool. And I think, guys, listening to these disorders, I think we all can tick one of these anyway. So yeah, either one time or even right now. But I mean, the self-image one, different things like that. But I think, guys, it's important for me, hearing all them things is to understand being empathetic with people. Some people respond a certain time and you go crazy and you cut them off and you're unforgiving towards them, and it's like, no, you don't know what they're going through.
No.
Share. Affinity Xtra. Be Xtra.
Yeah, people. This is your boy Roger Moore in the house. We're here with an Affinity Xtra. You know me already. I kind of talk. I think you guys think about me talk too much and I talk about too many different things. But the thing is, life is a very broad thing, and I feel like and I do try to cover as many subjects which we don't go in depth in church. But it's amazing how I haven't stopped yet, because there's so many subjects that we don't talk about. We just talk about salvation, getting to heaven, and that's about it. But I'm afraid on the way to heaven, if you live in this earth for 60 years or 50 years or 40 years or 10 years or 2 years or 2 days after you give your life to Christ, you are functioning in a world which is fallen, and it has things to fight through. By the way, I never prepared that. That was from the top of my head. But listen, guys, that. You know what I mean? So you heard that first. No rapper like Lecrae don't teeth my lyrics, you might teeth my surname, but don't teeth my lyrics. But this is Roger on the Affinity Xtra.
His surname is Moore? His surname is Moore?
Yeah, Lecrae Moore.
I never knew.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You gotta talk down the mic, sis.
All right.
Yeah, okay, cool. Go bring that mic in. That's it. Sorry, if you're wondering who I'm talking to, and I'm not introducing her, it's because you know her already. But no, it's Angela Kumar.
With an H and not an R, Roger.
Okay, because of my widened spectrum of cultures around the world, I do embrace other spellings of it. So Kumar, who is probably a descendant of probably the first, because Kumar, sorry, no one can convince me that's Ghanaian.
It's his.
No, it's not Ghanaian.
It's Kumah or Kuma. It means little or small.
Which part? Is that in the Ghanaian language?
Yeah, Ashanti or sometimes Ewe, but mostly the Ewes that are descended from the Ashanti regions.
Oh, so you must have linked up with the Mali kingdom and just got hooked up with something, and then that must be the offspring of the Muslim language, and then you must have got influenced by that way. So.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, cool. So we're talking about kingdoms, but to be honest, the Ghanaian kingdom was a very powerful nation back in the day. It wasn't a Nigerian kingdom. The Ghanaian kingdom was all around that region. It was a strong, powerful West African nation, which through trade, believe it or not, trade did not stop at the bottom of South Egypt in the Bible times. It went right over to West Africa, to the Ghanaian, in the sub-Sahara countries where people were a bit browner than everybody else, and trade got there, and the gospel got out there as well before everybody else. And I thought I'd just put it out there, guys. So
thank you,
know what I'm saying? Because
I think people need to hear that part of history.
Yeah. Because I was told that the slave masters brought gospel to West Africa.
That's not what happened.
They brought it with, here's Jesus, and by the way, give me five of your cousins.
You had to go there, dude.
Give me 5 of your cousins, and I'll give you a gun and Jesus. I give. You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm sorry, I don't know him. I've never met him in my life before.
I'm still trying to work out the pitch out how you took millions of people across the world, and everybody was cool with it. I just don't understand the pitch, man. You know what I mean? I just don't understand it, man. But anyway, still, yeah. And then the joke was, I found it the other day. You keep finding stuff. You got to keep digging in researching. Sorry, people. I'm just digressing, but it helps to understand why Black people are kind of struggling with mental health. But anyway, so you got to go back to, it's a bishop, a Christian guy. I heard it's funny, on the station, my friend did a talk about slavery, and then referred to how Christians saved us from slavery. And that's true. You know what I mean? They're involved. You know what I mean? In terms of our but they're going, yes, we stopped slavery. But hold on a stinking second. Who started it? There's a guy, a bishop called Richard something, who writ to the Queen and said, yo, go over to North America, conquer that bad boy and set up colonies. Don't fill in between and I'll pray for you and you will go to heaven. That's paraphrased, by the way, but that was a very long book. And that's been so you started it and you finished it. That's like, that's like the police shooting George Floyd and then giving compensation afterwards to the family and they say, yeah, just cool, we sorted it. We sorted out the police officer in prison, but just get over it. But anyway, this is not about slavery people still anyway, so but I have to talk, I will do a DNA test. I don't know if I'm gonna do a DNA test, guys, and I might do it with Angela. She's gonna be cracking up the whole way through when I'm doing it. So
he's probably Nigerian. I already know.
Listen. All I'll say, you're gonna be there for the traumatic part, because if I go past 5% English, I think I'll. you have to put me through some counselling sessions.
You'll be fine.
Not if I'm more than 5% English. You know what I'm saying?
You'll be fine. You'll live. There's
Anyway,
still some black in you, so.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's a lot more. I believe anyway. Still, yeah. But anyway. But if anybody says, Roger, that sounds racist, it's just I'm just wondering what my makeup is, But anyway, so but it's not racist, guys. It's just me just keeping it real. I just want to be Gabonese Portuguese. That's my target combo. Can I tell myself that?
The target combo.
Yeah. So obviously I got my Portuguese heritage off my nan, but then my African heritage. Wouldn't mind Gabon or Gambia.
No, you're Nigerian. I can tell you.
Oh my goodness sake.
I can just look at your face and know that. Can I have some Nigerians to confirm that Roger's Nigerian? Just look at his attitude, his mannerisms, the way he speaks, everything. And the fact that the first place he decided to go when he went to Africa was Nigeria, and can't stop talking about yam chips. So
yeah, man,
it's a no-brainer.
Yam chips and chicken, man, you know what I'm saying? But I know the best jollof rice is in Senegal, as we know, you know what I'm saying? So we
no, you did not. Okay, no, Senegalese, it's fine. I'm not even gonna fight you on that one.
Senegal, because they put a lot of fish with it and whatsoever and everything like that. So yeah, so
you haven't had jollof with fish before.
But the thing is, I've watched the YouTube video. I think that's what they said. The best is in Senegal. But anyway, so it was independent. It was somebody from West Africa, so that obviously it's the best choice. Yeah.
I mean, we can't fight with Senegal when it comes to the jollof war, because it pretty much came from there. But when it comes to Nigerians, we'll definitely have a battle over that.
Oh, the truth comes out. Okay, at least somebody knows that.
Hey, listen, I've admitted it.
Okay, cool.
I can't pretend anymore.
Okay, cool. That's cool. But listen, guys, it's fantastic to talk about culture and with somebody from Africa. I would say 20, 30 years ago, we'd be in two separate areas. We wouldn't want to talk to each other because we really want nothing to do with each other. But praise God for knowledge and everything like that. So that us African and Caribbeans can sit down and talk together and be cool. And that seems so weird, but it's so true. You know what I'm saying? Something that Bishop said in a conversation I had with him, and it's just so true. We've just been culturally stabbing at you for so many years.
Yeah.
And it's like, the brain, where you from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, anyway. But listen, today we are talking about mental health, and you're thinking, this introduction, what on earth has got to do with mental health? But it's just to prove that we're just human beings looking at who we are, because our identity has a major part to mental well-being. Knowing who you are gives you some solid ground to stand on. Not knowing who you are, you do struggle. So that's something to maybe even look at yourself, to really look at your heritage. You cannot ignore the past. All you have to do is build upon the past. If your foundation is on sand, you fluffed it. When it's on a rock and you know who you are, whether you like it or not, it's so gold, man, guys. Anyway, so yeah. But guys, we did an episode which went through different names and different things that you've heard when it came to mental health. And we had Angela explaining each area. What we did hit last time, we hit a bit of eating disorder, we hit a bit of anxiety, and we hit a few others, depression and so on, like that. So yeah, but we want to hit out some more in today's episode we want to hit some more names, because sorry, in the workplace I've seen it. I spoke to Angela beforehand. People just throw names out like psychosis, throw things like ganja psychosis, and I think they know it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And they watch 2 programs and throw out this, throw out that. And if you turn around and says, I'm feeling a bit down today, I'm feeling a bit depressed. The person's, you know what I mean? It's just really not that serious, you know what I mean? But the reality show is that, guys, we want to just start to interpret the words correctly when you hear them. Don't be frightened of them, and know the understanding of them 100% anyway. So I will pass it on to the lovely Angela Kumar.
Thank you, Roger.
Oh,
Hello,
cool.
everybody. Nice to see you again, or to engage with you, I suppose it's the word.
Yeah, man. You come from sick leave, innit?
Yeah, I caught COVID. I'm still coughing, and the cough decides to show up when everybody's around, so that
Pray
people
for me,
can look
people.
at me strange.
Pray.
You'll be fine.
You pray. I got the Holy Ghost vaccine in me.
Listen, I'm fully recovered, Roger. Go away. But yeah, thanks for having me again. Today we're just going to talk a bit more about mental health disorders or mental illness. Recap to remind you that mental health, as much as it's an umbrella term for an understanding of your mental well-being, the same way you have a physical illness, you can have a mental illness. Same way you can have a physical health problem, you can have a mental health problem. It may not be classified as an illness the way, let me give an example. You can be diagnosed with a chronic illness like diabetes. You can be diagnosed with a mental illness like schizophrenia. So be aware of the terms, be aware of the differences, be aware of how you are calling things, because mental health is the whole idea of well-being, whether it's good or bad. All of it is mental health. The same way physical health is the whole idea of physical well-being, whether it's good or bad. Just putting it out there to be able to understand mental health at par with physical health, so it doesn't seem like it's a strange thing. The fact that you do not see does not mean that it isn't there. So last, how many weeks ago? We spoke a bit about depression and anxiety and eating disorder,
PTSD,
and a bit about post-traumatic stress disorder. We spoke a bit about how these things are diagnosed, the length of time that is required for somebody to see a range of constant symptoms and say that this is PTSD, this is a personality disorder, or this is depression, or this is anxiety. It's not a thing that happens overnight. People do not just people wake up one day and feel like something is different, but it's probably built up over a period of time, and the symptoms have been there, but maybe you are unaware of them. If you need a reference point, you can go back to the last show, and then you can get a bit of information on that. But today we're going to be talking about personality disorders, somatoform or somatic disorders. I need to check if the name has changed, because that's what happens every time the name of something changes. And bipolar disorders, which pretty much somewhat fall under, it's not personality disorder, but bipolar is a mix of depression and mania.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk a bit about that later. But really, a personality disorder is it's a disorder that affects a person's personality, for lack of a better explanation, where you can see a vivid distinction between who the person was before and who the person is now. Or it may have been an inherent trait from when we're born. Everybody has a personality. We all, I don't know if you are it depends on what test you take, the Myers-Briggs, or you take the Big 5 personality test. Are you high in conscientiousness, agreeableness? I don't know. Just, you can go online and take a regular personality test that basically gives you a fair idea of who you are. But it tells us why we are the way we are, why we react to things in a particular way, based on our environment. And then there's the temperament that they say is hereditary and comes from our grandparents, but that's a whole different conversation later. But when you have a personality disorder, it's a flaw or a break in personality that actually affects the way you relate to people, how you deal with your emotions, how you display those emotions in the first place. And there are a few of them. I have a list here that talks about the clusters of personality disorders, okay? There's paranoid, cluster A. So I'm going to give you the clusters and then the features. So this is just given information, basically. Cool. We can't go into all the details about diagnosis and all of that, and medication and all of that. But we have paranoid personality disorder, where a person feels like there's always somebody watching them, or there's an excessive sense of distrust and suspicion, pathological jealousy, every interpretation of things that are done to them or done around them is malevolent or threatening. And I find that this is something that can be quite misconstrued, especially within the Black community, because already we are marginalized, and there are health inequalities, and you go into a healthcare system where your needs are not met culturally.
Cool. Yeah.
So this, I think he's called Keaton. Keaton has a long paper on the cycle of trust. I think it's the Sainsbury Center. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember my references. But there's a whole paper on the circles of trust within, circles of fear within the Black community, where because of how we've been dealt with within the mental health system, because of how things have happened, we won't access support until things get really bad with mental health. And then when we get into the services, we don't trust anybody to give us the support that we need. And I see how this can easily be misconstrued as a disorder, when it's simply a reaction to how people are what do you call it, feeling about the healthcare system, simply because of how we have been treated in the past. But obviously there's a professional way to be able to test this and know that that's what it is. So obviously, unless you go to a professional, that's when you know the distinction. But I can see how this can be misconstrued or mixed up. The schizoid personality disorder, where it's a detachment from social interactions without a desire for closed interpersonal relationships, restricted affect. You don't want to have any relationship with anybody. You don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to be alone. It may not necessarily be that you are depressed, but there's that element of you having gone through maybe a difficult experience that has put you in a state of trying to detach yourself from everybody else, or trying to detach yourself from society in such a way that you can deal with whatever it is that you're going through. A reminder that also mental illness can be biological, so there can be biological components to it with regards to brain function.
Okay, cool. All right. So it could be your biochemical, Okay, cool.
So, but the thing is, we're going to have a whole psychology lesson here, but they talk about biopsychosocial causes of mental illness, and that means that your society or your social environment and then your biology can come together to be the cause of your problem. So there may be an underlying biological factor, but based on the things that happen around you, it could precipitate that illness. Trigger that illness. Exactly. So think about mental illness in the biopsychosocial format as well. There's a psychological.
So when you mentioned about the some people in the summer are all happy, whatever. When it comes to darkness, they're very depressed. Is that kind of like a biological? That could be biological as well. Biological. There's not enough sun, so that affects your mood, your swings, whatever. So it has like affects your well-being.
Seasonal depression is what it's called.
Seasonal, that's it.
Yeah. Cool. So a good example of the biological, So not everybody who has a mental illness has been on drugs or has faced a trauma, or I don't know, all the other reasons that we decide to attribute to mental illness.
Cool.
Yeah. Let me go through this. There's schizotypical personality disorder, where the person believes
schizoid.
Eccentric beliefs without frank delusions. So the person has cognitive and perceptual disturbances. There's impairment in the way they interact as well. There could be varying causes for this. biological, social, psychological trauma, malfunctions with, difficulties in the brain processes or problems with brain processes. So again, keep an open mind when you're dealing with somebody that has a mental illness, because it may not necessarily be their fault that they are behaving the way they are behaving. And you are not, unless you are an expert and you can effectively diagnose and put down based on a proper test that has been done and have a conversation with the person and see where their mind and thinking is. Don't jump to the conclusion that somebody has any of these. This is for information purposes, not for diagnosis purposes. Let me just put that out there. Then there's cluster B. These are the ones that we see quite often. We have antisocial personality disorder, where there's a lack of empathy with there's a disregard of people's rights, the deception, impulsivity, irresponsibility. And a lot of the time we talk about antisocial personality disorder with young people that start to act out or start to behave violently. A lot of the time, that's why I saw a lot of antisocial personality disorder when I worked in juvenile rehabilitation, with how young people or people within the prison system had reacted to different things. For some people, obviously, it's a product of the environment that these things develop, So that's why I talk about the biopsychosocial understanding of mental illness.
Mental health, that's mental health, like having it.
Exactly. Trying to understand why somebody thinks it's okay to stab somebody or shoot somebody. They lack any empathy. Sometimes they don't even feel like, okay, this person has a child, this person has a mother. It's not running through their mind like that, as it would be for you. So not everybody's normal, or normal in the sense of normal. Maybe I shouldn't be using the word normal. It's been
socially acceptable.
Exactly. Maybe that's what it is. Then there's borderline personality disorder that we hear about a lot. An unstable self-image, chronic feelings of emptiness, instability in interpersonal relationships, affective instability, self-harm behavior, hypersensitivity to rejection and fear of abandonment. And a lot of the time, what I've seen with borderline personality disorder, that it comes from a long history of trauma and rejection, where the person has had to basically do things to try to please people just to be able to be understood or to be accepted. And suddenly beginning to have an understanding of why you do the things you do because of what you went through in the past.
No, that's cool. And I think, guys, listening to these disorders, I think we all can tick one of these anyway. So yeah, either one time or even right now. But the self-image one, different things like that. But I think, guys, it's important for me, hearing all them things is to understand being empathetic with people. Some people respond a certain time and you go crazy and you cut them off and you're unforgiving towards them, and it's like, no, you don't know what they're going through.
No. A lot of people have to deal with a lot, and sometimes they just do not have the emotional bandwidth or capacity to explain it to you or explain how they're feeling to you. I'm going to talk about histrionic personality disorder, where it's characterized by excessive attention-seeking behavior, emotionality, and excessively impressionistic or shallow thinking or behavior. Somebody may have gone through something, or having dealt with a situation, or be brought up in an environment where you have to act out to get the attention that you want. And people do not understand why they do that. But sometimes it's because of these issues with their mental health and their understanding of their personality and who they are, that they do the things they do.
Yeah.
So as Roger said, empathy is really important. Obviously not to go around labeling everybody saying you have this and you have that, but being able to understand where people are coming from. You do not understand their history, the trauma that they had to go through. Unless somebody really opens up to you to start to explain what happened to them, you'd never believe that people on this earth, walking, living human beings, have had to deal with some of the most outrageous, heartbreaking stuff. So empathy is always important.
Cool.
we talk a lot about narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder, and people don't get off with this one very easily. But narcissism exists as a personality disorder. It's a need for admiration, grandiosity in speech and behavior. There's a lack of empathy for others. Interpersonally exploitative, arrogant and haughty. And I think it's coming up on the scene a lot more when we talk about relationships, and people talk about, I was in an abusive relationship, and I think the person, like looking back on how the person acted, or the gaslighting and, you know, all of that, the manipulation, you can tell that the person was narcissistic. But all of these are personality disorders, and they're all mental illnesses based on particular diagnosis, as I said before.
Wow.
Then there's cluster C, so all that antisocial, borderline, histrionic.
This is all personality disorders.
Yeah.
Oh my!
It's a long list. I think it's probably longer than this, but yeah.
It's like, guys, we should have a questionnaire at the end of this.
I'm telling
Which one do you tick?
Again, I need to remind you that this is based on a number of symptoms over a length of time. Symptoms that have been, put down by a professional or measured by a professional, because they are tools to measure and understand these things properly, but also having conversations with a mental health professional to be able to say, yes, you tick the boxes for these things. So again, don't sit down and self-diagnose, but if you feel like some of these things apply to you, try to speak to a therapist. There's a lot of help that is available now. I can say that Nishkam, I think it's called the Nishkam Mental Health Center, or Nishkam Medical Center in Handsworth, provides a lot of mental health support for free. So if you feel like, okay, these are stuff that you see yourself doing, and it may not necessarily be as a result, I mean, I don't want to say your fault, but it may be as a result of things that you've experienced in the past, some traumas, some difficulties, adverse childhood experiences that have brought you to this point of reacting this way, or developing these kinds of personalities in an attempt to shield yourself from the world.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Seek help and have a conversation with somebody. They'll be able to help you to unpack why you do the things you do, why you react the way you do, why you want to people please, why you want to do this or do that. Man. You know, there's so many of us that find ourselves in such a situation where you need to people please because you did not even get the affection you needed there's just so many as a child. There's just so many things that go into this. So it's important to talk to a professional, and that's why, as Roger said, every single one of us has some mental health problems, one or another, that we need to talk about.
Narcissist, yeah.
That we need
some of them bishops right there, some of them apostles, man.
Tell me about it. That you need to talk about with a professional. That's what we're trying to do. Let you know that it's not just schizophrenia and you walking around and talking to yourself or having psychosis. That is mental illness. All of these things are mental health disorders that you can have conversations about if you seek the help. So in telling you about all of these things, also destigmatizing these things as well, to make you understand that people go through it and it happens to the best of us. And I hate that phrase, but it happens to everybody. Then dependent personality disorder. Cluster C is an inability or extreme difficulty in making your own decisions. You are over reliant on others, submissive. You have feelings of inadequacy, and there's avoidance of confrontation.
Okay, cool.
Very interestingly, a lot of these are based on no, Roger, no.
This is avoiding confrontation. But anyway, so go. Sorry guys, I'm listening in and I'm typing up because I'm making sure I'm going to take all the notes. I'm taking down some notes here.
You know, adverse childhood experiences, and I think we really underestimate how much what we went through as kids and what happened around us growing up in uni, in high school, affected our personalities and affected who we are as adults now, affected why we do the things we do. I think especially in the last 2 years, people have become so much more aware of themselves because we've just been stuck with each other in the house for over a year, and you just have to deal with everybody's personality or the way people think, and you're like, I never saw this about a person until now, about a particular person, and all of these things may be contributing to why they act the way they do based on what they have to go through or they've had to go through. Then there's avoidant personality disorder, Oh, I think I just said.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah. No, actually, no. I said dependent personality disorder. See, they're all quite similar, but there are few symptoms that distinguish each of them
But
from each
avoidance, isn't that covered?
No. Feelings of inadequacy, hypersensitivity to rejection, a social inhibition despite a desire to form close relationships. So you can understand that maybe that may stem from trust issues because of things that people have gone through. Obsessive compulsive disorder. I mean, let me give you an example. Take for instance somebody who has just been released from the prison system and has to be reintegrated into the community, or that they had to go through the life of crime, whatever, and then being put into a prison and coming out into a society where everybody recognizes them as a criminal. Nobody wants to accept them. Nobody wants to mingle with them or roll with them. Obviously, their adverse reaction to these feelings will be to avoid people.
Yeah.
Or if they're not avoiding people, they're acting out in a different way. It's very interesting when you start to understand why people behave the way they do. And it helps you to be more empathetic. Obviously, not to give everybody a green card to act silly.
Yeah.
In quotes, because some people just...
And for me, being a Christian, it just helps me to even unlock why people behave the way. People just take on board too much, and I think sometimes we just or put on people too much. But sometimes we just relax and just say, okay, I see. Yeah. Just take your time. But that's good.
Yeah.
That's all personality disorders.
All of it. I've not even talked about obsessive compulsive disorder.
What's that in short?
OCD.
That's
which comes under anxiety as well. It has a root of anxiety, but it's a preoccupation with details and rules, excessive organization, perfectionism, orderliness, miserliness. Don't say people who are misers have OCD. Rigidity.
But the thing is, people say OCD quite loosely.
Yeah, very.
Because they say that, I clean the house every day because I got an OCD. I says we keeping the house clean.
No, you don't have OCD. You just like to clean. It's a different. Listen, OCD is debilitating.
So over the years, they keep on saying like, got an OCD for cleaning the cooker, OCD for just doing something that's possible.
Maybe you're just a bit of a perfectionist and you like things clean. I mean, some of us do. Like, we like to straighten things when we see them like that, and it's just the way our mind sees things and the way our mind, experiences discomfort. Or I'm not even going to the psychology of trying to have control of everything. We're going to have a whole session here, but
yeah, control.
But the term using OCD loosely is not right. What it does is that it dampens the experience of the people that are actually dealing with it. Because if Roger actually has OCD and Roger can't, walk out of the door without clicking the handle 3 times because he thinks something is going to happen to him if he doesn't do it. And for me, I think that, I like to clean the handle before it's just nice, but it's because I don't like germs or somebody else has touched the door. It's different for Roger than it is for me because it really governs his entire life. If he doesn't do it 3 times before he goes out, he's going to come back and try to remember if he did it 3 times and be distraught. Distraught, It's a whole different thing. Listen, we could have like hours and hours and hours of conversation about mental illness and mental health, disorders, because there's a lot to talk about there.
Cool.
But the end goal is empathy. Empathy is so important because you do not know
villainizing people and whatever.
Exactly, you do not know where people have come from and why they do the things they do. Try to understand, but also I want to use the word be a bit discerning, because the term for mental illness is being thrown around a lot loosely now, and people are using it to get away with things or get validation for the way they are behaving, when sometimes you're just being, I want to say silly, but you're just acting out the wrong way when you know that there's a different way to act or behave in a particular situation, but you deliberately want to hurt somebody, or people are just evil. The fact that this mental illness exists does not negate the existence of evil. Okay, it doesn't say that people are not wicked or people don't want to intentionally hurt. All of these things still exist. Just to put that out there, because even I find that because you understand human behavior so much, when people even go out of their way to hurt you, you're trying to empathize with them and say, oh, it's because you had this experience and because you did this and this happened. But no, you are just being a terrible person, and some people need to be called out for that. So I mean, there's a space and time for all of that, you know. Just putting that out there. And then this bipolar disorder, which I find is a term that is being thrown around a lot, and different types of bipolar disorder. But what happens in bipolar is that you have a percentage of depression and a percentage of
so
mania.
Bipolar is still a personality disorder.
It falls more under affective disorders, which is where depression comes in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's cool. So I'll
yeah.
put them bipolar separate.
But so what happens with mental illness diagnosis is that you find a lot of comorbidities. You find a lot that if somebody is depressed, there may be a rollover into anxiety.
Okay, cool.
So that's what I mean by comorbidities, that two different illnesses can function in the same. They are all interconnected at one point to another.
Almost,
even though they are classified in different groups, it's just to be able to understand the distinction and how to treat them properly or address every problem. It's like the way if you had, let me say, I'm diabetic, okay? If I was having a hypo where my blood sugar was low, I'll start to feel disoriented, I'll have a headache, I'll be dizzy, all of these things. In order to be, even though these are sub-symptoms of the condition, in order to be able to treat every single or address every one of them properly or understand every...
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so that's where comorbidities come in, okay?
Cool.
So yeah, bipolar disorder, which a lot of people have, but a lot of people do not know they have, where there's one phase or one part, and it depends on the percentages, how the diagnosis goes, that a person just has, I think they call it loose behavior, where they're just doing a lot of things at the same time. And what happens with mania in the manic phase, they call it the manic phase, is that the brain function that helps in prohibition or executive function that helps you to make decisions properly, it's not working well. So what happens is that there's like neurons shooting in your brain all over. Let me explain it that way. And you can't do one thing at a time. It's like you want to drink water, you want to write, you want to jump, you want to do everything all at once, because your brain is sending different signals to do different things at a different time. So you find that a lot of the time when people have manic disorders, they are spending a lot of money, they are doing a lot of things, they are partying, they're doing things that are outside of their behavior, a bit outside of who they normally are. And then what happens is that after that manic phase has passed, depending on what the percentage is for mania versus depression, they fall into a state of depression.
Oh, so that's where you see that two type of personalities, because there's total opposites.
Well,
there's bipolar means that there's two polar opposites.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got the extreme manic and how am I?
I remember when I was working. When I worked in the psychiatric hospital in Ghana, I remember, going in 1 week, and then this guy was like telling everybody everything. Like he was just going on and on. He could talk for hours. And then next week I saw him. He wouldn't even say hello when you spoke to him. His head would be down. He wouldn't respond to you.
I thought bipolar was like this. Hi, my name's Fred. Oh, no, I'm Charlie. No.
That's dissociative personality disorder. That's a whole different thing altogether.
Okay.
That's a personality. He wasn't even on this list. Yeah. That's a personality disorder.
Isn't that like schizoid? Because I'm using the bad words that we said. Oh, yo, like, because obviously you said, oh, he's got two personalities. He's schizo. You know what I mean? So I'm using his phrases because it might connect to people.
That's what. Yeah. Well, that's where the comorbidities come in. That you have one disorder, but you have the symptoms for other things. So if somebody had dissociative personality disorder, for instance, and it used to be called what's the other name? I need to Google it. See, that's what happens with mental illness and mental health. It just
Sorry, somebody can't ask Siri here.
Go away. I could ask Alexa.
You know what I'm saying? When she gets
multiple
when
personality
she gets
disorder,
a good consultancy job at NHS,
I just hate iPhones. I can't be bothered for. I detest iPhones. I can't be. I could ask Bixby.
This is a pride it becomes before for. Yeah, so just become part of the force. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Sorry guys, you know.
Roger, let me ask you a question. When you're on a WhatsApp call, okay?
Yeah.
And you go off your WhatsApp call to do something else, does your video stay on or off?
I usually use FaceTime video.
Go away. So what happens on Android phones is that
it's trying to stay in business that way anyway. Still, yeah. So we use FaceTime audio, free video here, guys. But anyway, listen, we digress. We're not going to start the Android iPhone. That was a commercial. The commercial break sponsored by Apple. Being as I got. And we just finished, man. Theme tunes hit up there. But anyway, go back to looking at different things. And what I'm looking at is bipolar. We do loosely use bipolar. I remember, treatments for bipolar. I've seen people have to be medicated up, maybe unnecessarily. Maybe. And the thing is, guys, it's good. This is why it's important. I think this is just not important. But sorry, I have to just interject here, guys, because it's important to take care of your well-being.
It is.
Because you don't know what route it take your place. If Roger didn't go football, if Roger didn't go to the gym, if Roger was maybe even, sounds crazy, and on top of that, gone through divorce, can't see his children, you know what I'm saying? What does that flare itself up to be? It could be, I could be bipolar right now. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a direct because of that, but you have to show us, guys, our well-being.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Dealing with crisis. I've been through crisis management, is crucial. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we all go through crisis. People go through death, bereavement, different things like this. The crisis that we've faced as a community over these past 2 years is incredible, and that's why we have to look at this. And this is why taking care of your well-being, go for a walk, get some fresh air. Stop teasing yourself and getting vitamin D. Not saying you shouldn't. Go for a walk in the sun and get vitamin D the natural way. Up on black. No, still go for a walk. There are other things it can do. So that's just me, guys. Take care of your well-being, because I'm going through this list here. I'm going, there could be traits in us, but they only expand when we don't deal with our situation.
Yeah. Because what happens is that we feel like there's nothing wrong with us. We don't want to talk about it. We're resilient, and I use resilient loosely because, or not loosely, but I'm beginning.
We use a lot of escapism.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's worship, whether it's going to church, is a form of escapism. Because sometimes it distracts us from what we're really going through. I'm not saying church is a bad thing. It's something in our churches we have to be practical with as well. And there's a lot of practical churches out there, but we have to be careful that we don't keep it. It's saying that, so and so gets drunk, so he uses that for escapism. Escapism is so many different things. Playing computer games all night long, running away from the truth. Different things like that. I don't know.
I suppose you're talking about how people cope, and there's positive coping strategies and negative coping strategies. But I talk about resilience in the sense that we think that we're so strong that we don't need to talk about it. And I find that within our community, of course, we are strong, we are resilient. We don't have a choice. We have to be. But based on the things that happen around us, all the discrimination and the racism and the adverse environments that we live in, but it's important to have these conversations, or just simply talk. Go for a counseling session and just pour your heart out and say, this is how I'm feeling, this is how I've been thinking, this is what happened while I was in this place, and this is what. But it's like, we don't want a stranger to know what's happening in our heads. So we wait until we have reached breaking point, and then we can't be helped as much. Because think about mental illness as a biological thing. If you had a physical health problem, maybe cut yourself and you didn't treat it properly, and you didn't go to the doctor and it just kept getting infected and eventually you have to amputate it.
Yeah.
Think about mental illness like that or mental health problems like that so much that we don't talk about it. When it gets to breaking point, crisis point, exactly, then the best that can be done is that you're put on medication.
Or sent away.
Yeah.
Sectioned.
And I mean, there's a whole conversation about that anyway, but sometimes that's where it gets to. So start talking about it now. There are a lot of services available, some online, some anonymous, the support groups. I recently found out about Codependent Anonymous, and I talked about dependent personality disorder, and then you're like, I think I have that. And it's based on something that happened in your childhood or as you were growing up, and you realize that, I need to talk about this with other people that may have gone through the same situation, and this is why we all act the way we do, and we are accountable to each other, and all of that. It's very, very key. It's important. Cool. So yeah, we learn something new every day, don't we?
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Yo, man, that's buy. So what we got after buy?
Listen, the list is long. We'll never finish.
Yeah,
so
we was going through to our times, though. We got another. I believe about 15 minutes. Yeah. So.
No, but those are really the most
personalities. Yeah.
Popular ones.
Okay, cool.
Or the ones we talk about.
But the thing is,
bipolar.
Bipolar. Did we touch Asperger's? You mentioned about right. So I saw Asperger's, and Asperger's. Yeah. It was like one of them ones where Explain Asperger's, because how on earth I thought that was more to do with a physical, the real NHS handles that, not the mental team. So what team handles in the NHS? It's not the mental team that does that, is it? Mental health team. It's the other team.
I can't really tell, but
okay, cool.
It's classified as a neurological disorder.
Okay.
And it's on sometimes on the autism spectrum disorders. Scale.
So autism on
it used to be in the DSM as a mental health disorder.
Yeah.
Under learning disorders, where you have autism, you have ADHD, ADD, attention deficiency hyperactivity disorder, attention deficiency disorder, a few others, but it's beginning to be disputed as a mental illness. Right. I don't know if it's in the recent DSM. I need to check that, but it's just classified as a learning disorder or learning difficulty, and rather than it's a disorder. So it's the politically correct term keeps changing. So I'm just being careful. If I'm not using the right term, I'm sorry, but they are now considered more as learning difficulties than learning disorders. But sometimes the reason you find them under mental health is that they affect behavior. I mean, because they affect behavior and they affect mental health as well, then there's that comorbidity that comes in again.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. So Asperger's is it's considered to be on the mild end of the autism spectrum. And the three primary symptoms are that there's difficulty with social interaction, people engage in repetitive behavior, and there's rigidity in thinking, and a focus on rules and routines. So that's what I think that's what they call high functioning autistic.
Yeah. I got Asperger's.
Exactly. So what it says is that often individuals with autism with Asperger's have a normal or above normal intelligence. So they can go to mainstream school or hold down jobs and things like that. But these are under the learning difficulty spectrum. That's a whole different conversation to have.
Quick question. Something I bumped into is Tourette's the other day. Somebody had Tourette's on the football pitch.
Wow,
yeah. And it was interesting because it's like, it came to me, it said something to me, and I thought, you don't know me from Adam. So this guy came to me, and he kept on going away, and I'm thinking, he's gotta be careful here because he doesn't stop. And when it clocked, this is the guy, you know what I mean, and whatever. I had no control. I thought it'd be just pure bad language, but he just never had control of what he's saying. He says what he sees, literally.
So our brains are very, very interesting, and that's a whole neuropsychological and neurobiological aspect of it.
What, Tourette's?
Yeah.
So
it's more neurological.
It's neurological. Oh, okay. So no, it's not.
It's not classified as a mental.
So you couldn't have a breakdown and end up having Tourette's.
I have heard of cases like that, but a lot of the time, at least what I know about Tourette's, and I'm not a medical professional, is that it's neurological. It's more about brain function and brain excitation and the release of neurotransmitters and things like that. When it comes to inhibition and all of those things, yeah, more the neurobiological or neuropsychological side. But disorders, we don't run out of them.
A quick look at it. Let me see.
Have dissociative. That's what you were talking about.
Dissociative
personality disorders.
What's that? Dual personality.
Yeah, it's called dissociative personality disorder. Where a person actually has different people living in their heads, proverbially, or it's the word proverbially. Sorry, my English is all mixed up today.
So, as a Christian, how do you cope with that?
Dissociative personality disorder.
Yeah, because it's just demons, isn't it? So you know exactly. If somebody says, "My name's Charlie,"
let me give you an example of what happens.
So as a Christian, and you got somebody walks into your clinic, and then they start talking like Charlie, and then they go, "Hi, my name's Ben."
Let me give you a typical example of. Okay, so this one is from Criminal Minds, so it'll be a little fictional, but from what I know with dissociative personality disorder, a lot of the time it comes from a place of trauma, where the person has had to deal with so much difficulty, abuse, that they try to separate themselves, like separate your personality of the person that is experiencing the abuse and find a safe space where you can be a different person.
So Charlie could be my safe space, but Roger is where the trauma happens. Exactly. So I create a character within myself.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's what it is. And you explained it perfectly. Wow. That is what it is. That in order to escape what is going on actually and physically, you create a whole new person. So and sometimes with that, when you go there too much, it can become who you are.
So when we're doing all this deliverance service thing, yeah, it could be somebody who's suffering from trauma from a person in the church right there now, and we're not dealing with it. We're not dealing with it. We're just trying to cast a demon out.
I think it's good to take a more pragmatic approach or a multi.
It's not about going in there and say we're gonna kick out demons. It's about going through a process of counselling beforehand. So I'm putting her on the spot because she gotta go to church on Sunday.
Yeah, no. You see, I find it interesting. I think after the deliverance, you should have a mental health session or have a counseling session, a professional counseling session after the deliverance. Or before, yeah, but because I think before. Well, before, after. Because I think,
unless, again, God tells you amazing lot of things when you're going through adrenaline in it, you know what I mean? And somehow some people get happy because one person hit the ground in the spirit, and the next thing you know, you are the archangel incarnate, and then you start laying hands on everything. Yeah, that's very interesting. So,
I mean, before, after.
Sorry, guys, I've seen too many personalities in church coming out of two people. You know what I mean? You know, I've seen it. You know what I mean? And people.
But that does not mean that there's not demonic. In what do you call it?
How do you guys cope with the word? Is demonic in the realm of conversations when it comes to mental health, or is that's like the?
It's totally avoided. But I mean, when you talk about things from a spiritual perspective, you know that these things are real. The Bible talks, for instance, of the Gerasene demoniac and how he had so much excessive strength that he could beat people that came around him. There may have been an element of mental illness to that, but whatever it is, Jesus was able to heal it.
It must be tough.
Heal the the biological, the physical, the spiritual aspects of it. He dealt with all of it. But that does not negate the fact that we need to be able to have conversations about mental illness in the church without always demonizing people.
Because like I said, when they're having to have two personalities is wow. It's just like when you look at it, you actually breaks your heart, man. You know what I mean? Because they had to and like you said, you know, you watch things like Criminal Minds. Like me, I watched a program called Sinner.
I love. Listen, I'm on my 6th rerun of Criminal Minds, and it has 15 seasons and 24 episodes in every single one of them.
I can't start it. You know, how many episodes is there now? How many seasons?
15. It's 15. Done now.
Oh, it's done now. I can't. If I start it, I won't finish it, man. You know what I'm saying?
I think I have commitment issues because I start to watch something else, and I'm like, nah, it's not as good as Criminal Minds, and I go back.
Oh man, I must have been to watch Sinner, and it's like it's amazing because and the cop, that detective who kind of works with people. There's this one girl. She killed somebody based upon a song that he played. Yeah, and but that was all based from her trauma.
It was a trauma response.
It was a trauma response to her.
It's a trigger.
That guy was playing a track. That guy actually, she remembered him, who was in the room when her sister got killed. So she saw him, he recognized that, and then everyone's like, why is he doing this? And then when they realized that he was in the space where her daughter, it was just deep, where the police officer looked into it, but because his mindset was kind of not messed up, but just going on a bit more deeper, it wasn't just chucking it away. You know what I mean?
I think what all of it really explains to me is that we are spiritual beings at the depth of it. Because where do all of these things hide? And I'm talking about the Christian side as well, because there's a place where all of these things stay, and there's the brain explanation, there's all of these triggers, but I mean, you tread with caution when you're talking about these things, because people can easily misconstrue it. But
it is a subject where I think that we are doing things like this with mental health, guys. You know, as we conclude this today, it's something which is a minefield, because we are actually putting onto paper things that we've never put on paper, and we just left it into the mystic. We mysticized the elements of spiritual. We just, everything gets spiritualized. And people don't realize. I think it's a tough balance, guys, because things affect your character by how you know me, and it's like, you know, predators in churches not being dealt with, because we're not counseling people. We're just trying to just solve the situations, but predators just live large, and we're wondering why we got issues in the church. It's because of these guys or girls going around doing what they're doing. It's really tough, man. It's really tough. You look at, you know, me just phrases that we utilize, you know, bipolar, OCD, when we say schizoid, you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean, people like this, like for me, I was about 17, 18, and I said to somebody, we've talked about bipolar, and this is about, you know, how many years ago this now? 10 to 30 years ago. So when they said that they used medication for bipolar, I was like, well, you just deliver the person, deliver the whatever's bad. You know what I'm saying? So that was my mentality. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not. So it's really thin ice, man.
Yeah. It is. It is
really thin ice. But guys, you know, I know that Bishop Jackson's looking to do some bigger versions of Rock Solid, where we'll be going to his church and having round table conversations. So I'm sure Angela will be up for the spiritual and the mental. You know what I'm saying? Which one do you fall into? And there's a lot of our people in that system that come to church to go hallelujah, but they don't tell us about how they feel when they're seeing, because Pentecostalism, there's a lot of demons.
I mean, how do you explain it?
Jesus. Anyway, you just don't explain it and just shout Jesus. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, guys, because, you know, you look at the guy who had a legion, you know, and you know, he casted it out there to put the demons into the pigs, and the pigs jumped off the thing of, and there is got to be some truth to it, because spiritualism and spirits transcend all religions. And non-religions. So you get spiritualists believe. So there's got to be some truth to the spiritualism.
I mean, being a person of faith, I believe that there's a whole different higher realm or dimension that we
can't see.
Or can't fully understand or grasp a hold of, you know. But it's also important to be able to discernment, and I keep saying, because discernment is key. It's important to know how to address it, especially as a believer. That's why the Holy Spirit gives us discernment. And we need to ask for it on a daily basis, because you do not know why somebody's acting the way they do, or I don't know. The Holy Spirit just gives you an understanding of why a situation is happening, or just lets you avoid it for a particular reason. Sometimes you don't need to know it, because our human minds are, or our environment puts us in a situation in such a way that we try to rationalize everything or find an explanation for everything. But sometimes it's just leave it. You know,
Wow.
so discernment is key. That's what I can say. That if you're a believer and you're listening to this, as much as mental illness exists, discernment is also key in being able to understand both sides, the spiritual and the physical or mental health part of it.
If you put that in your PhD at the end, would you get a pass? Hey, the PhD, what? She's one of them.
I paid enough school fees already. They're going to have to pass me, man.
All right. No, guys, listen, this is fantastic, sis. And thanks for, listen, guys, if you was like, it's going, that's too much. This is the reality show. This is how deep, you know what I mean, this subject is. And any questions, this is about making you aware,
Yeah.
So we can stop, being ignorant about our loved ones around us, start being more calculative, stop saying, shut up, boy, you're too noisy. You know what I'm saying? Start start being understanding people, understanding what people are going through at work, and I think stress at work. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It brings you know what I'm saying?
That's stress related disorders. So
there's tons of them, and I think sometimes we don't respect that basically. Sometimes you might not want to eat, and it becomes an eating disorder, or you might want to do gym every day, and you get so obsessed with gymming, and that's another certain things people who wasn't fit and then gone over fit, you know what I mean, and the bodies are incredible. That could be a bit of a mental illness. When you see some of them guys in there, they're a bit ding 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 in the head. I go in the gym and they're like, how do you do this every day? You know what I mean?
It's their coping mechanism. For some people, it's their coping mechanism.
It's escaping. Yeah, it's escaping into the muscles.
No, you need to be able to differentiate between coping and escaping. Are two different things. Well, not two different. Listen, it's a whole conversation.
Okay. Sorry, guys, we better go.
Now Roger is throwing temps around.
so I was getting trouble, but just me teasing there shows you guys how much how many conversations we're gonna be having in mental health in 2022. I want to be looking to do as well. I want to be linking in with Angela and some other medical professionals about mental health as well, some doctors as well. So we'll be setting it up and hopefully linking up more key with the NHS as well. So do that because we want us to be more aware within our community, our black community, African and Caribbean community. You know what I'm saying? We want to bring it all together because we've got something to bring to the table, and something somebody bought. One of the messages that's just come up on the stations is you check out David White. One of the messages did say, he said it's important for us as a people to be able to take care of our people. You know what I'm saying? And people might say, oh, why can't anybody take care of us? Sometimes, when it comes to mental health, we need to be part of the journey for these young men and young women to come out of this journey. We can't stop ignoring the community. We need to now live Christianity in this season. Stop talking about it and stop just going home, doing your job, coming back to work, living the benefits of a good life, and start blessing people. You know what I'm saying? But that's just Roger. I don't want to start preaching. Angela, thanks again for your time, my sister.
Thanks for having me, Roger.
No problem. And anything that comes up, feel no way. And maybe we might have some live case studies to talk about as well. You never know. You know what I'm saying? And live questions. And we're going to be, hopefully, we're going to be speaking to my friend who is a soldier, and we're looking at how people we cope with extremes that we don't even address in our black community. You know what I mean? So definitely that. But this is Roger on the Phoenix X. We celebrate gospel music of black origin, and also we're here to chat the black right here on the station. Nothing but love, my people.
Thank you for watching the content we're putting out. Listen, make sure that you are liking, subscribing and following us on all our social channels, including patreon.com. Make sure you're finding us on there to support what we do so we can support you. And remember, guys, be extra.